Good morning, everybody. My name is Randy Bound. I'm the executive director for Odessa Arts, and again, it is cultural tourism grant writing season. Welcome back to the Hunger Games. Uh, we're doing a couple of things different this year that I think will be very beneficial to everybody in this room. As you know, at a federal level, arts funding is what we like to call uncertain. But at the municipal level and also at the state level, things are looking really good for arts funding. So we want to make sure that you have all the tools that you need to be able to write a successful cultural tourism grant for the next year because everybody in this room is doing phenomenal work, whether it is as an organization or as an individual. And we have all these wonderful cultural offerings here in the Permian Basin. We want to make sure that they're well funded and that they're well attended. So uh, we're obviously filming today. This is going to be up on our YouTube channel as well. So if you need to go back and refresh your memory, all of the electronic presentations that you see will be emailed out to you at the end of this as well, so that you have these for reference. Also, we're going to have a couple of panels here. Please feel free to ask questions. We're going to have some funders from around the Permian Basin, and actually someone from the Texas Commission on the Arts is going to be here, Matrix Gilmore, to ask questions as well. And of course, at any time during this presentation that you need to ask a question, please raise your hand. Um, and to start with, in order to write a successful grant, you need to be well prepared. It doesn't just start with going to the website and opening the grant application. You need to have a lot of stuff prepared before you actually start. And so I have invited Erica Chavez from the Nonprofit Management Center to give us a short presentation on grant preparedness. And pay attention to some of the things she's going to say because they directly relate to the grant you're going to be writing. So if you would please welcome Erica Chavez from the Nonprofit Management Center.
Thank you. Good morning.
It's year.
How's everyone doing? I'm going to keep this brief, but you will have all my notes. And as a extra little caveat, my information is there. And so you're always welcome to reach out for any type of nonprofit grant writing assistance. So don't hesitate. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and jump in. I will say just a little extra context. I actually have been a judge of the grant, and so I do have some insider knowledge. And I know there are certain things that I look at when I look and review the grants. And so I think kind of having that expertise, hopefully we can set you up for a successful grant cycle. So let's go. All right. So, what makes you grant ready? The biggest thing, a lot of the prep is for sure before you even begin to type that application. We always want to make sure we read we read the RFP, what the expectations are for the grant. We want to make sure there's a clear, aligned purpose with the grant. Make sure that it's appropriate, that it is truly aligned with what you are trying to do. If you are a nonprofit or for profit, biggest thing, making sure that you have the proper documentation. And I just go ahead and set aside a whole notebook just dedicated to the grantor, especially when it comes to any type of state, federal, or government funding. You just never know if there's an audit or some type of walkthrough. It's good to just already have those things on hand. And so making sure that you already have those documents. I have found myself in situations working with the organization where, for some reason they lost their 501(c)(3) and their organization that's 75 years old. And by the time you get with the IRS and they try to track it down, it no longer is it's not digitized, and so things like that can happen. So just keeping those things in mind before you even begin writing your grant is very important. You definitely want to make sure that the defined purpose and process for planning and reporting, you have an understanding of what those expectations are early on, including the time frame. If you need to gather any type of uh, I don't know, ticket sales or any type of social media reports, all of that you want to communicate ahead of time with the vendors or people that you are working with so that you aren't going to be held up or delayed because of someone else getting you that information. And so all of that is important. Get that communication out, and that just gets people primed so they know that when an event or your experience is over, that these are the things that we need so that we can get that information to our funder. Okay. And if you have any questions, do jump in. So I'm open.
All right, excellent.
All right. So know your grant. Kind of spoke about reading the guidelines thoroughly. We want to make sure the eligibility and priorities are still appropriate. Sometimes those change year over year. And so is this still a good opportunity for you, for your organization and for your efforts? Is this something that is still within our capacity? Has anything changed internally within your organization? Or externally that can influence your outputs or your outcomes or even your attendance for some of these things. And so this is really just painting that real picture. Is it something we still can do? And if it's not, then what can we do to prepare for next year's opportunity? Because there's still opportunity here. And so understanding that. I always like to look at past recipients, like who the trend of giving, who has received this funding before, who has executed it well, who has had a strong marketing presence and plan, and you can truly see that what they set out to do was accomplished. And so I look, like who is doing it well, and how can I learn from them? And if you can build that rapport relationship, I know in a certain sense everyone's kind of competing for the same dollars, but you're still trying to execute that vision of bringing cultural tourism and just the arts to the community. And so through that collective effort, I think you'd be surprised how many people will jump on board and assist you in your endeavors. And so keep those things in mind. Make friends with people in the room because ultimately their audience base is going to be yours too. And so if you can amplify that walk-in traffic, or you can have your posters or flyers at each other's events, why not? That's just still it's more dollars, it's more foot traffic to the events that you host. So keep those things in mind. We also want to make sure that we are matching our funding requests to the scale of the project and the funder norms. If historically Odessa Arts has done, maybe medium scale grant making on the 20 to 50,000 scale, then we're not going to put in a $200,000 request because we know that's not appropriate for them and that's not their trend. And so even knowing that, you just don't want to come into an application tone deaf, and you know again what's appropriate and what's going to be within their funding norms. And so I'm pretty sure you could see that on their website, and Brandy, I'm sure, is there accessible to answer those questions to make sure that your ask is going to be appropriate. So just even recognizing that, I think it's never a bad idea. If you have shown a really great history of executing an event well, you do the follow through and the records, and you are a fan favorite, then I think it's very much appropriate to do those incremental asks. But make sure that they are appropriate and it's not going to be a huge leap from a 20,000 ads to a now like $80,000 ask. We want to be incremental with it because again, you're doubling your capacity, your outputs, and you want to make sure that it's still appropriate and relevant to what you're doing. A big one is be clear on how you'll use the funds and define success. You'll do that not only in your regular narrative, but also in your budget. You want to make sure all those things are clear and very aligned to what is put forth before you. Um, I always like to use the funder's language and keep it aligned with that. Never in a territory where I'm chasing the funder and it's not appropriate for me as an organization. It truly aligns. And so, how am I going to define that success? Is it the number of seats? Is it the number of clicks? You name it. how are we defining that and making sure that we're putting that in our application so that when the people review it, they have an understanding of what it is you're trying to accomplish at the end of the day and that you can prove that you were successful. And as mentioned, knowing the funder language, if there are language norms like underserved, at risk, uh, Latin versus Hispanic, all those things, it's semantics at the end of the day, but it does matter. And it does matter to the individuals that look at your brand and support your organization. They want to make sure it's aligned with Odessa Arts efforts. And so if you can make sure that your language is aligned with that, I guarantee you will have a successful brand in the making. And so just understanding that is very important as well. Any questions so far? All right. Stream it through. All right. We definitely want to get organized as mentioned. If you can, go ahead and put it in your calendar, all the dates of when things are due. I like to put false deadlines just because sometimes that procrastination button will hit or technology just fails, Mercury retrograde, pick one. But put yourself those deadlines so you know ahead of time what to anticipate. Have that grant folder ready with those key documents, your project scope, your goals and evaluation, keep that at the forefront because if you're doing something that is not aligned with that funding, that could really trip you up. And so you want to make sure that everything you do ultimately ties back into that funding opportunity and the efforts by by the grants. If you do letters of support, I know some they work with different partner agencies or schools, things like that. Go ahead and make those requests now. Get the requests in early. Again, their timeline's not going to be the same as yours, and so if you can get ahead of it, it just helps. I that's one thing I hate is just kind of be held up in someone else's like trying to get the documents, trying to get the verification, validation of what it is that you do. And so communicate that early and gather that all ahead of time. We talked about that avoiding last minute delays. It never fails. I will be on a grand deadline and all of a sudden the system will crash. You know why it crashes? Because there's probably 20 of us submitting at the same time. And I kick myself every time. And so, again, that's where you have that false deadline. Get it ahead of time because things happen, especially in the tech side. It happens. And unfortunately, sometimes there's leeway and sometimes there's not. And so I rather be ahead of time, have it in, and just one less thing on my desk. So get those things in early. All right, nice. All right. We want to make sure that we're writing with purpose. We want to be clear in our messaging, in our language, and and how we are presenting things. I would avoid acronyms unless you've already explained it. But even then, if it's if it's the reader's first time looking at your grant and familiarizing themselves with your organization, you might have to hold their hand and walk them through that history in your narrative. And so we want to be clear about that. Just assume that we know nothing about you or your event. How can you put that messaging in there and be concise and to the point? Because at the end of the day, there's also, I don't know, how many submissions would you say, Randy?
20, 25, very.
Yes. And as a reviewer, after a while, it gets a little blurry, and I'm looking for just like clear messaging. And so try to avoid any fancy language, just keep it simple. How are we going to use those funds at the end of the day? And tie it into the story. You still want to see, that feel good stuff. How can you tie that in? How can you weave it into your narrative? All that makes a difference. I want to feel good about the decisions being made. And I'm sure this artist does too. And so, how can you weave that into your narrative and still be concise in your messaging? And so, all that you have your story, and then how are we going to connect it back to the arts? How are we going to connect it to our area and the impact that has on the audience and the people that attend your events or your experiences? Make that connection. Always ties back into the funder. How can we make sure that the language and everything comes back to the end of the day? This is what we're doing in our cultural tourism board, Odessa and beyond. That makes sense. Okay. All right. Next slide. All right. This one's a big one. I just wanted to provide an example for your budget. I know last year this is one thing that I saw, and I just kind of made a comment to Brandy, like, "Hey, you know what? I think this is something that and sometimes our organizations struggle with." And so I wanted to just give you a visual of income and expenses, because that is a true budget. I think for people on the organizing side, we just focus on just the expenses. But you're going to get income. You might get revenue from tickets. You might get revenue from um, I don't know, donations, sponsorships, you name it. Go ahead and put that down. If you're going to make a profit, that is okay. You know how you can resolve that in the budget? You can put a line here that says transfer to reserves for startup costs for next year. And that zeroes out your budget. That makes sense. We know that you're going to need something to start the following year. We know that this might be you might contribute it to your organization. It's a fundraiser, or it helps any other efforts. That is okay. But it does help to see who else is supporting your efforts outside of Odessa Arts, just to see is this sustainable, and then how much is are these efforts being funded by Odessa Arts? Is it 100%, 25%, 25%? It just varies. But again, so we know if this is a heavy lift and investment by this funder, what efforts are being made to diversify the funds that are coming within your organization and within your events? All that is very important. And so both that, your income expenses. Another one I see is there are a lot of people behind the scenes that are helping you execute these programs and events, and they are volunteers. We are not quantifying that well, and that is huge. And so, if I think I should have looked it up, but if you look at the independent sector, I think the value of volunteers at least $35 an hour. I'll find that out later today. But if you know you're going to have volunteers support your efforts, let's go ahead and quantify that. What is that in kind volunteer support? Because you can leverage that. You can leverage that with other funders. And it's good to know, are these paid individuals, or are these people just passionate about your organization and willing to contribute and do that heavy lifting too? And so go ahead and put that in your budget. And if you can weave it into your narrative, I think that's excellent as well. And so keep those things in mind. And then, of course, double check your math. I always like to have someone look at my budget. It's not my strong suit. I could do it. I get your bag, but that's someone I really reinforce, and it's like just double check. All right, next slide. All right. Seek feedback. Get second eyes on everything. Have them read it. Have them redline it. I love a good red line. I like to see how I can improve. Put it in Chat GPT. It helps you, you know, it helps you. It helps you as you're writing, it helps you in your messaging. Am I drilling the point home? Am I spending too much time on XYZ? Help me be clear. Help me be concise. Help me have a competitive grant application. All those prompts could be very helpful in this process. And so get a second pair of AI eyes and actual eyes. And that way, again, you have a competitive application. We talked about past grantees. If you can, you have some friends in the room, ask them about their experience and that process. That never help. That never hurts. Um, uh, I compare it to an interview. If you can sell yourself out loud, then you're ready for that process. It's the same thing for a grant. If you can explain it out loud to someone that is not familiar with your organization, your and your endeavors, then you should be ready to go and ready to write. So have those friends and family check and just get double set of eyes on that. All right. Next one. All right. Just again, just some final checks. I'd use this as a little checklist. We want to make sure we have that clarity, completeness, and alignment across documents. We want to make sure that we confirm all attachments open. You'd be surprised sometimes certain programs aren't compatible, especially Word to Mag or PDF. It just never fails. You'll get a document that might be corrupted or something, and so you might want to test all of those, make sure that they're good. I love good naming conventions. It just streamlines the reviewer. They can see like, oh, I wonder, if what their budget looks like. Just name it, and that way people know where to look. It streamlines going it. Double check your formatting, your file types, submission, instructions. Make sure you didn't miss anything. Always save a full copy for yourself. Things happen on the digital side. Sometimes systems crash, and they may not have that backed up, and so it just helps to have a copy readily available just in case something occurs. And then add follow-up reporting dates. Talked about that. Just put it on your calendar because I will say after a really good, successful event, last thing you want to do is think about it. We did it, on to the next thing, and then all of a sudden, here comes that reporting date. And so keep all those things in mind.
I'm sorry, did you say that one again?
But after your event, you will forget. Put the date in your calendar. Yes, put it in your calendar. I know in the whole, I don't know, just the adrenaline of things, you're just like, yes, we did it. It's a win. We are successful. We got the money, everything. And then it's the follow up. And it's the less appealing side because you're on that downhill decline. Oh, it's over. But this is the wrap up part. And I think it's actually, that's one of the best parts of your grant being ready is the reporting. Now you get to share with those individuals how you got it done and what you did with the funding. And so don't dismiss your follow-up report because if your follow-up report is ever included in a future grant or a funder is considering revisiting you as an organization and expanding its grant dollars, or say you have a second event, they could look at your follow-up reports and see that history of, they have been good stewards with the money, and this is what they've done with it. And so don't waste that opportunity when it comes to your follow-up reports. Any questions or anything? What happens next? We have the updates from your funder, site visits, either from the funder, the reviewers, or maybe board members. So you always want to have your good front face forward. Also, remember logos. I know that's a thing we tend to forget. It's just we want to get those thank yous, but also make sure that we are putting our funders' logos out there and that they're good, clear, formatted logos. I'm sure Odessa Arts has no issue getting you those. And then again, that follow for core evaluation. And I take that opportunity to meet with your team or anyone involved, your volunteers, send out a survey. Hey, how can we improve? What did you like about this year? How can we expand next year? Is there something you like to be involved in or done differently? All of that with really great opportunities and good feedback and testimonials that you can include in your follow-up reports. Okay, next one. And that's it, guys. Any questions, concerns? You got it down? We'll find out if I'm a judge this year. Almost, we'll see. All right, one or two. Each ran.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric. And just as a reminder, Nonprofit Management Center is a great resource, not just for this grant, but for pretty much anything in the nonprofit sector in West Texas. And I highly, highly recommend you take advantage of them. Even if you need a second pair of eyes to read a grant, uh, Erica, I'm volunteering you to give you that, but she will. And
I never realized.
she really does. And that whole team over there is fantastic here. So again, thank you so much, Erica. All right, now why we're here, cultural tourism grants. There we go. All right, so let's start with uh, what is a cultural tourism grant anyway? So we are funded through the city of Odessa with hotel occupancy tax. So that is the tax that visitors to hotels pay, and then the city is able to allocate that out for tourism. There are 9 allowable categories for hotel occupancy tax to be spent. All of them, every single one of them has a hotel impact component. I'm not going to go through all 9 of them because we are only concerned with arts funding today. Next slide, please. So the Texas Municipal Hotel Occupancy Tax Code 351.101, subsection 8, paragraph 4, states that up to 15% of the previous year's hot tax collection may be used for the encouragement, promotion, improvement, and application of the art, including, and then there's the laundry list. All right, so that's the list of things that hotel occupancy tax can't fund through the arts. By contract, since 1981, the city of Odessa has allocated all arts funding to Odessa Arts to sub-grant to parts organizations, individual artists, etc. So if you apply to the city of Odessa, they're going to send you to us. If you're applying for arts funding, you're applying for any number of the other 8, then you can go directly to the city. But if you're coming for arts funding, that comes to us first. And if you get funding from the city, you cannot get funding from Odessa Arts. And if you get funding from Odessa Parks, you can get funding from the city. It's called double dipping. Can't do it. If you notice, the tax code says up to 15%. We don't always get the 50%. Sometimes we get 7, sometimes we get 6. This year, for the first time in 10 years, we got the full 15%. And that's good for everybody in this room because we have more money to. We're not giving it away, and you guys need to remember this too. We earn every dollar that we receive from the city. We did, and a lot of the organizations here were also part of this, but we did an economic impact study, nonprofit parks, economic contribution. We contribute $33.5 million to the local economy every single year through arts and culture. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. That is an amazing return on investment. So I'm telling you this because not just because of the grant you're about to write, but when you're going out and you're talking to your funders and you're talking to your board of directors and you're talking to sponsors, you need to know that. And you need to make sure that you put that language out there. Number one, we earn our hotel occupancy tax. And number 2, we contribute to the local economy to the tune of nearly 400 full-time equivalent jobs and $33.5 million. So this is not a handout. We earn it. We earn every single bit of that. All right. So next slide. I also want to give a huge shout out to Texans for the Arts. Texans for the Arts is the state arts advocacy organization. I am privileged to serve as a board member for Texans for the Arts. They influence not only state level funding at the TCA, but they also work very hard to protect hotel occupancy tax for arts funding. I was able to witness this firsthand during the legislative session. The number of bills that are introduced to get people to get hotel occupancy tax to fix potholes, to put roofs on buildings, is to go to the parks department. None of these things are bad, but there are general fund options for this. Hotel occupancy tax for most municipalities is the only source of available tax funding for the arts. So every year somebody tries to come in and take some of that hotel occupancy tax away from us. And it is Texans for the Arts that protects that and also advocates on behalf of Texas Commission on the Arts. I in a wave at Matrix back there, who is our guest from Texas Commission on the Arts. TCA also had a really good year at the legislative session this year, and this was all at the state level and at the local level here. This was due to the work of Texans for the Arts. So if you're not a member of Texans for the Arts, I'm going to encourage you to become a member of Texans for the Arts. It helps us be able to protect HOT and advance the agenda of Texas Commission on the Arts as well. All right, next slide. So, because we had such a banner year, we are increasing the ceiling at all levels of funding for cultural tourism grants. All right, so we do it based on your current year's operating budget. Okay, so whatever budget you are operating on right now today is what we will use to uh, determine your request to limit. And our ceiling is now at $40,000, where it used to be $30,000. So we do this because of one thing that Erica mentioned in our grant preparedness. See, look at that; it's already relating to what you're about to write. Uh, we want to make sure that you, as an organization, can successfully manage the grant award that we are giving you. And so, if you are a $40,000 organization and you ask for, $50,000, we don't know that you have the capacity to do this. This also makes sure we can spread the wealth as much as possible and make as many people eligible and allow us to give as much, uh, not give, award as much money as we possibly can. Even with all of this, we will have more requests than we are able to fund this year. It happens every year. It will happen again this year. And we want to make sure we get award as many organizations and individuals as possibly can. And I'm going to stop here for questions too. Guys, please do not hesitate to raise your hand and ask a question. Everybody clear on the budgets? All right, let's go. We offer two types of support, and we're one of the few funders that are able to do this. We can do projects, and we can also do operating costs. You've got to pay your electric bill. You've got to buy copy paper. Those are important things. They're not as exciting as the brand new project, but you've got to staff the project. You've got to have an office. You've got to have, all of the things that make these things run. So you can apply for either one of those. We don't look at projects as the shiny new thing and operating as something we have to do. They're both equally important. And especially right now when that federal funding is in such a confused state, operating asks are probably going to go up. Do not be afraid to ask for operating support. All right. It's not, you do not have to dazzle with a phenomenal project. You can ask for operational support, and application will be weighted the same as a project support. All right. So before we get into this, it's cultural tourism. Cultural tourism. It's two words, also both of them equally important. Everybody in the year is here because it represents a cultural interest. So you've already qualified under cultural. Now, and more art is better than less art. So everybody has a project here that is probably very worthwhile. Many of these are very established organizations that want to continue their mission. Some of you are coming here for the first time with a brand new idea. That's great as well. Make sure if you are, especially if you have a new idea, that you do your due diligence. All right. If somebody comes up with a project that is a group of musicians who are classically trained, who are going to perform works by noted classical composers, we probably already have something like that called the West Texas Symphony. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't have another group of classical musicians playing, but you might want to talk to the symphony first. And you might want to find out their calendar of concerts. They're pretty consistent. I know exactly when every single symphony concert is every year. And we actually look at that. We're finding some variants. Uh, but you don't want a duplication of services that also competes for audience share, competes for funding dollars. You want something that enhances. So you might want to, I don't know, if you are the director of a ballet that needs classical musicians, maybe partner with the symphony to produce your events. So just think about that collaboration and making sure that you're not doing a duplication of services. That what you offer is something that is unique to the community. The other part of that is tourism. Tourism. We are funded through a hotel occupancy tax. You have to have a hotel impact in your application. You have to have a hotel impact as part of your criteria for even applying. It's not just a requirement, it's good business sense. We want the hotels to be very happy that their tax dollars are going to fund the arts. We'd want them to be able to write letters of support to all of you, to our city council, telling them what a great job they just did by awarding the full 15% so that they continue to do that. So it's not just about checking a box, it's about being a good partner with our hotels. Okay. Wait, back up. I didn't actually do that. I did a little aside here. All right, so let's start with the grant application period. It's August 1st to August 31st at 11:59:59, which is when you will all crash the system. Please don't do that. Uh, your award notification will come through Submittable, which is also the online application. Okay. So everything that you get will come through Submittable. So make sure that you have your Submittable account set up. That you are the one receiving. If you are the one responsible for the grant from application through reporting, that yours is the email address on file, because all of those submittable notifications will go through to that person. So, all right, the period of support. And this is very important as well. Doesn't matter what your fiscal year is, it's a calendar year. And that's on request from the city of Odessa. We do a calendar year grant. So that means your project, your operating costs, whatever, January 1st through December 31st to 2026. Okay. Your event has to take place in Ector County, but your organization does not have to be based in Ector County. We have one exception for that. Does anybody know what it is? Very good. The Wagner Noel. That is the DMC between Manasseh and Odessa, and we share it. It'll split it 50% by both communities. So anything that is that the Wagner is also eligible for funding. And that's it. Okay, now we can go to the next slide. So again, does this have a cultural component? And does this directly affect the hotel industry in Odessa? Does this affect hotel industry in Odessa? Now, I'm not going to say the words that city council says all the time, that other organizations say all the time. Hotel impact is a very broad statement. The bar that we have to clear is no higher than this table right here. It is very, very simple to do. Next slide. All right. It is more than those two words right there that I'm not going to say out loud. Doing this workshop today in this hotel is a hotel impact. Having a hotel cater your event in your building is a hotel impact. Doing discounted tickets for hotel guests by showing your room key, by showing your reservation number, is a hotel impact. Giving tickets away to hotel guests is a hotel impact. If you have marketing swag, keychains, koozies, water bites, anything that you give away to a hotel guest is a hotel impact. And the reason this is so important, I mean, there are a lot of reasons this is important. But when the average person thinks of tourism, they think of Disneyland, right? That's what you think. I'm going somewhere on vacation. I'm going to go to Disneyland. I'm going to go Six Flags. We don't have Disneyland here. And people do not come to the Permian Basin for pho. Um, well, they don't. But what does happen is we have a lot of itinerant workers who come here on a Monday and leave on a Friday morning. And they are here and they are bored. And we, number one, we want them to come back here and stay here. If they are being recruited by a company and their family is all in Dallas and they fly home every Friday, spend their weekend with their family, and they come back, I can guarantee that their employer would be much happier if they were here with their family. And so everybody in this room does something that appeals to the people that are already here, right? So that person is a tourist. Whether they actually came here for a symphony concert or whether they came here for work and decided to go see the symphony while they were here, we still get to claim them as a tourist. Not only that, but we are surrounded by Pecos, Big Spring, Monahans, Fort Stockton, all of these small rural towns that come here for healthcare. They come here to shop for school supplies. They come here for grocery shopping. They come here for doctor's appointments. If they come here for that, and then they go and stroll through the Illinois Art Museum, they are cultural tourists. All right, so we have to broaden the way that we think about how to address the hotel component because it is weighted very high on this application, very very high. But these are some of the ways that you can make sure that you have the hotel impact in your grant. And if you are a nonprofit and you are looking for board members, get a hotelier on your board. Get the hotelier on your board. Because I sat in board meetings and had my hotelier say, "Oh, we can help you with that." All right. So again, the FAR is so low, and we need to not treat it as a fox just to be checked. We need to be very good partners with the hotel industry, and they made it very easy for us to do so. All right. All right. So, use of the funds. You've written your grant application. We've been awarded funds for the big, great concert of 2026 that's going to happen on June 5th, right? That's what you have to use the money for. You have to use it for what's in your application. Now, your headliner has canceled for whatever reason. Let them know. They got a better gig somewhere else, and they decided to go to Amarillo instead of coming here. Not that that has happened recently, but it happens. Or the venue had a massive water leak and is not available because they're under move fears. These things happen. We do not want you to get the money back. We want you to contact us and say, the headliner canceled, can you help? All right. We will help you find and craft a new narrative, but we need to know that. And I have to present it to our board of directors. So you come in and you tell us what has happened, and we work with you to come up with a suitable alternative within the calendar year. We can move the dates, we can move what the project is, all of that, but we need to know, and we need to know more than 3 days before your event, because we can't help you with solo time. We desperately do not want to ask for the money back. We do not want to have to do that. All right. So we will work with you as much as possible to make sure that you can get your grant managed within the framework of the challenges that you're facing. Right. All right. Once you get your report, you will have paperwork. We're going to talk a lot about the paperwork, but the grant contract and your revised budget must be submitted by December 31st, or your grant may be forfeited. Okay. Um, if you ask for 20,000 and you get 15,000, you will have to revise your budget to account for the fact that you're not getting at 5,000. You may just write in additional incomes. You may not have to change the actual total cost of your budget. Don't feel like you have to subtract $5,000. People you can find that $5,000 somewhere else, then let's find that 5,000 somewhere else. All right. Next slide, please. Reporting. All right. So, the city of Odessa allocates our funding on a quarterly basis. Therefore, we allocate your funding on a quarterly basis. We cannot change that. That is the framework in which we operate due to the city's policies. Okay? So, anybody with a pen should be holding it right now. Quarter one is January 1st through March 31st. The report will be distributed. Your quarterly impact report will be distributed on April 1st. It will be due on April 15th. You will not receive your second quarter payment until you completed your first quarter report. And if I'm talking like we're in elementary school, forgive me, but this has been an area of challenge for a lot of our grantees. So I want to make sure that we spell this out as succinctly and simply as possible. Quarter two is April 1st through June 30th. The report is distributed on July 1st. It is due on July 15th. Third quarter runs from July 1st through September 30th. The report is distributed on October 1st and is due on October 15th. Quarter four is October 1 through December 31st. The report is distributed on December 1st, and the report is due December 31st. So that means if you are a current grantee and you have a grant for next year, how many documents are due to this office by December 31st? What are they? Didn't know there was going to be a pop quiz, did you? That's not six. Okay, so let's say you currently have a grant, so you will have a fourth quarter impact report that will be due on December 31st. You are awarded a grant for next year. You will have a grant contract that is due on December 31st. You will have a revised budget that is due on December 31st. You will have thank you letters to City Council that are due on December 31st. Four things that are due on December 31st. Failure to submit all quarterly reports any time came in may result in disqualification for future grant opportunities. Next slide, please. I know some of you have already experienced this. There are penalties for late or incomplete reports. It will be deducted from your next quarterly payment. So if your first quarter report is late or incomplete, you will get a $500 penalty for each. In August, every Tuesday in August, from 11:30 to 1:30, come see our new office. Come ask us to look at your grant. Come ask us any question about writing your grant. Come ask us what color you think the costume should be for your play. we don't care if you visit. We will give you feedback on your application. All right. Some of you have taken advantage of this, and I have to say, had done a remarkable job with the application panel reporting. Uh, we have experience to use this. If you don't use us, use nonprofit management center. If you don't use nonprofit management center, to use somebody else, but use somebody. That second pair of eyes that Erica was talking about is so important. All right, next song. This is Maggie. Maggie will be managing your grants. She is cold as ice. She is eating an iceberg. This information is important to your application. All right, so now you got your grant. Make sure, as Erica mentioned, Odessa Arts and Texas for the Arts logos should be on all publicity. All publicity. If you are conducting an event that is music based, we also have a music friendly logo from the state of Texas to put on your publicity as well. Events must be entered into the Odessa Arts calendar of events. Hello at odessaarts.org. It's really easy. Shoot us an email. We want all of those events on our calendar. That also helps us promote it through our social media channels, through Beacon West, our quarterly arts magazine that is made available free to every hotel in Odessa, Texas. Free to every hotel in Odessa, Texas. And as a matter of fact, I forgot to bring one of these today. And I said, Sam, go down to the lobby because we're in a hotel and get us a copy of Beacon West. They're out. Every copy that we've given to this hotel is gone. So people are reading. If you would like to be featured in Beacon West, hello at odessaarts.org. All right. Please make sure to invite our board of directors to your events. That way you can show off what you are doing and why it's so important that we invest this hotel occupancy money into your organization, into your project. All right. You want them to see it firsthand. Again, thank you notes or emails need to be sent to City Council with copies sent to us for the files. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop here because this is a second grant opportunity for individual artists. This is not about the cultural tourism grants. So before I go any further, are there any questions?
Yeah, good question.
Yes.
So, Ember, you're talking about legally, close layer I preferred. Is that preferring only some actor county, obviously, or state?
Well, no, a hotelier is a hotelier. But for the purposes of this grant, using that as your hotel impact, you need to be looking at Ector County hotels. But if you have a minimum hotelier on basic DS, that's still a win. It's still a win. We like our friends in Midland, and more art is better than less art. So we want everybody to see. Anybody else? No? Yeah. Okay. I want to talk very briefly because we have some individual artists here. Because of the 50% funding that we got, and we have some additional funding to give away, we are resurrecting two grant programs that we haven't been able to do in the last 3 or 4 years. One of them is a Make Artwork grant. This grant is a year-round grant. You do not have to follow the grant calendar for the cultural tourism grants. It is a small grant. It is a $500 grant. Okay. But the Make Artwork grant, it's a magic grant for individual artists to create and premiere a new piece of work in Ector County. Okay. It can be an art exhibit. It can be a new composition. It can be a new play. It can be just about uh, anything that falls under the discipline of art, as long as it's something new and it's premiered here in Ector County. And you still have to have a hotel impact because it's still funded through hotel occupancy tax. So you have to come up with a hotel impact, whether that is actually having an opening reception in the hotel, whether it is having the hotel cater a reception somewhere else, whatever it is, you still have to have a hotel in that. But these applications will open on September 1st. September 1st. Okay. It is new work. It must have a hotel component. And if you're applying for a cultural tourism grant, you can't apply for a Make Artwork grant. This is specific to individual artists. This is for our, as a visual artist, like maybe a photographer that wants to have an exhibit that there's not another place to have your exhibit. For example, the Noel books out their exhibits for 2 years, and you have something that doesn't need an entire museum, or you have a new composition that you want to perform in the lobby of the Marriott, something like that. We want to be able to fund that. We want to encourage that creativity and that ability to put together something. I'm gonna pick on Eric Baker today, and he's gonna get really tired of me bringing this up because it's almost 10 years. But we used to do something called what was it? Eric, what was the thing that we did with the lunchtime concert? Second Tuesday Salon. Oh, yeah, we used to do Second Tuesday Salon. It was a Tuesday lunch concert at the Copper Rose, and Eric was one of the performers one time, and he did this uh, performance that was Baker on Baker. It was Eric performing Chet Baker tunes and giving a little bit of biography on Chet Baker, and then had PowerPoint and everything. It was so cool. And if we had a Make Artwork grant at that time, we would have funded something like that.
And I want to make sure
You need to do Baker on Maker 2 Electric Boogaloo, and then we'll consider it. But something like that would be, that would be something that would be really cool. If you put together like a cabaret actor, you put together an exhibit, or you write a new play, or you write a 5-minute, 5-minute play, something like that. We would love to be able to do that. So those will open on September 1st, and they go for 12 months, and we will consider them as they got met. And I think it's a really exciting opportunity. All right. The other thing, wait, next slide. Yep. Questions should be sent to Maggie at OdessaArts.org. Maggie will be managing your grant from start to finish. If you have questions about something, don't ask me, ask Maggie. If you call and beg me to extend the reporting deadline, I'm going to send you to Maggie. And Maggie's going to say no. Maggie's not near as nice as I am. All right. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay. I'm going to briefly touch on one more grant opportunity that we have, and then we're going to invite some of our funders up here, and we're going to do a panel discussion. Because this grant is a matching grant, you're going to have to go out and find additional funding. And with the challenges at the national level, I thought it was a really good idea to have some of our funders here to talk about some other funding opportunities that you will have in order to match with the Odessa Arts Cultural Tourism Grant. We also are able to resurrect our mural assistance grant, and I'm so happy about this. So we have $5,000 set aside for each district,
Each city council district in Odessa. So that's $25,000.
It is a matching, reimbursable grant. So you will have to spend the money first, and then we will reimburse you. Your mural has to be on an income generating building. It has to be visible from the street. You have to apply for the grant before you select artists, because part of this is that it is, as a competitive grant, we need to open it up for any artists to compete for the opportunity to paint the mural. So we will actually go through an artist selection process with the building owner, with someone from the city council's district, and with someone from the public art advisor at Bay. And then the artist and the business owner will work together on the design. And then once the mural has been executed and completed and you submit your receipts, we will reimburse you for that. But that's really exciting. That's 5 main murals we can do this year, for one for every city council district. If you don't know what your city council districts are, shame on you. But also call the office. We'll help you with that. We will walk you through the mural assistance. That is also a 12-month grant program. We will entertain an application at any time during the year. Those applications will also open on September 1st.